Part 1, Cold Open. Imagine standing in the middle of a dense forest. No roads. No signs. No people. But beneath your feet, broken cobblestones. And through the trees, the outline of what was once a front door. Someone lived here. Children laughed here. People fell in love here. And then, they were gone. You know. History is full of places that simply stopped. Communities that were thriving one decade, and erased from every map the next. No forwarding address. No memorial. Just silence. Tonight, on D Lost Chronicles, we go looking for them. Part 2, Introduction. Since the beginning of human civilization, we have built communities. We have planted crops, raised walls, named streets, and called places home. But for every town that survived to become a city, there are dozens that didn't. Villages swallowed by war. Hamlets abandoned after plague. Communities buried under rising water. Ghost towns left behind when the gold ran out. Some disappearances are documented. Some are barely remembered. And some are still mysterious. In this episode, we're going to explore 5 communities that vanished from the map entirely. 5 places that once pulsed with human life, and now exist only in whispers, in ruins, and in the haunting question. What happened here? Part 3, Story 1, Tyneham, England. In the winter of 1943, the residents of a small English village received a letter. It wasn't a personal letter. It wasn't addressed to any one family. It was addressed to everyone. And it told them they had 28 days to leave. The village was called Tyneham. Nestled in the rolling hills of Dorset, on England's southern coast, it had existed for over 600 years. Farmers. Fishermen. Schoolchildren who walked muddy lanes to a one-room schoolhouse. It was the kind of place where everyone knew everyone else's name. And the British War Office wanted it. The government needed the surrounding land for military training ahead of the D-Day invasion. Tyneham sat inside the required zone. So its 225 residents were told to go. Before leaving, someone pinned a note to the church door. It read, "Please treat the church and houses with care. We have given up our homes where many of us lived for generations to help win the war to keep men free. We shall return one day and thank you for treating the village kindly." They never returned. After the war ended, the army kept the land. Tyneham remained frozen in 1943. The church clock still shows the same time it showed when the last family closed their door. Today, Tyneham is open to visitors, but only on certain weekends. The army still controls the surrounding land. Walking through it, you pass a schoolroom where children's exercise books are still on display. A phone box that never rang again. And a graveyard full of people who once called this home, people who died never knowing their village would become a ruin. Tyneham didn't vanish because of plague or catastrophe. It vanished because of a government order. And somewhere in that fact, is a particular kind of quiet tragedy. Part 4, Story 2, Dunwich, England. Some villages don't just get abandoned. Some get swallowed. In the 13th century, Dunwich was one of the most important cities in all of England. It had a population rivaling London's. It had 8 churches, a thriving port, a mint, a bishop's palace. Ships came and went from its harbor carrying goods across the known world. And then the sea decided it wanted it back. In 1286, a catastrophic storm struck the Suffolk coast. It lasted days. When it was over, the harbor was choked with sediment and sand. Dunwich's lifeline, its port, was gone. More storms followed. Year after year, decade after decade, the cliffs eroded. Streets fell into the sea. Houses tumbled. Churches crumbled. One by one, Dunwich's 8 churches were consumed by the water. The last standing church, All Saints, finally collapsed into the ocean in 1919. Today, what remains of Dunwich is a small village of a few hundred people. A shadow of what it once was. But beneath the waves, something remains. Divers and sonar equipment have detected the outlines of medieval streets. The foundations of ancient churches. The ghosts of a lost city, perfectly preserved under the cold North Sea. And local legend says, on quiet nights, when the sea is still and the wind is right, you can hear the bells of the sunken churches ringing beneath the water. Whether that's true or not, Dunwich is a warning. A reminder that even the mightiest civilizations can be undone by the patient, relentless sea. Part 5, Story 3, Oradour-sur-Glane, France. Not all vanished villages are ancient. Some are modern. And some were destroyed not by weather or time, but by human cruelty. On the 10th of June, 1944, 4 days after D-Day, the German Waffen-SS entered the French village of Oradour-sur-Glane. It was a Saturday afternoon. The weekly market had been held. Children had come from neighboring schools for a tuberculosis inspection. It was an ordinary day. The SS ordered every man, woman, and child into the village square. The men were separated and taken to barns. The women and children were locked inside the church. What happened next has never been fully explained. Historians still debate the exact reason Oradour was chosen. But what the SS did is documented beyond all doubt. They opened fire on the men in the barns. They set fire to the church. 642 people died. Only a handful survived, by hiding, by fleeing, by luck. The village was burned to the ground. After the war, French President Charles de Gaulle made a decision. Oradour-sur-Glane would not be rebuilt. It would not be cleared away. It would remain exactly as the SS left it. A permanent memorial. A permanent witness. A new Oradour was built nearby for the survivors and their families. But the old village was left to stand in silence, as a reminder of what happened. Today, visitors walk through those same streets. The same burnt-out cars. The same collapsed rooftops. The same church where 247 women and 205 children lost their lives. There are no guided tours. No audio commentary. Just silence. And the weight of what that silence means. Part 6, Story 4, Craco, Italy. Some of the most beautiful places in the world are the ones nobody lives in anymore. Craco is one of them. Perched on a rocky hillside in southern Italy, Craco looks like something from a fantasy film. Medieval towers. Narrow winding streets. Stone houses stacked against the sky. It's been used as a film location for The Passion of the Christ, Quantum of Solace, and several other major productions. Because it looks unreal. But Craco was very real. And its story is a slow-motion tragedy that unfolded over nearly 2 decades. The town's problems began with the land itself. Agricultural changes in the 1950s drew many young people away to seek work in cities. Then, in 1963, a landslide struck. The town's ancient foundations, never designed for the geological pressures they faced, began to shift. Residents were relocated to a valley settlement nearby. Then came flooding. Then another landslide. By 1980, the last remaining residents were gone. Craco was empty. Walking through it today, with special permission and a guide, is one of the most extraordinary experiences in Italy. Every street tells a story. You can still see the outline of where people lived. The indentations in the stone where steps were worn smooth by thousands of footsteps. Doorways that once had doors. Windows that once had curtains. Craco is not dead. It's just waiting. Waiting for someone to explain what it means for a place to outlive its people. Part 7, Story 5, Centralia, Pennsylvania, USA. And then there's Centralia. Centralia isn't just abandoned. Centralia is on fire. And has been, for over 60 years. In 1962, a fire was accidentally ignited in an abandoned coal mine beneath the small Pennsylvania town of Centralia. At the time, it seemed like a manageable problem. It was not. The fire spread into the vast network of coal seams beneath the town. And coal, as it turns out, is very, very good at burning. Sinkholes began to open. Carbon monoxide levels rose in people's homes. In 1981, a 12-year-old boy named Todd Domboski nearly fell into a sinkhole that opened beneath his feet. The steam rising from the ground was 93 degrees Celsius. By 1984, the U.S. government had bought out most of the residents and demolished the town. Over 1,000 people were relocated. The post office's zip code was revoked. Centralia was officially erased. But a handful of residents refused to leave. At its peak, as many as a dozen stubborn holdouts remained. They fought the government in court. Some lived out their days in Centralia, literally, while fire burned beneath their feet. Today, almost nothing is left. The streets are still there, you can see the outlines of where the town was. But the houses, the shops, the church, all gone. Just the roads, the trees, and the smoke. The fire is estimated to have enough coal to burn for another 250 years. Meaning Centralia will still be on fire in the year 2200. Long after everyone who ever called it home is gone. Long after anyone alive today is alive to remember it. Part 8, Closing Reflection. 5 villages. 5 very different stories. War. Sea. Massacre. Geology. Fire. And yet they share something. All of them were once full of ordinary people doing ordinary things. Cooking meals. Raising children. Arguing with neighbors. Falling asleep under the same roof, night after night, assuming tomorrow would come. The thing about vanished places is this. They don't just disappear. They leave an outline. A shape in the landscape where life used to be. And if you stand in that shape long enough, you start to feel it. The presence of all those absent people. The weight of all the mornings that were never had. We build places because we believe in the future. We name streets and plant trees and hang doors because we believe someone will walk those streets, sit under those trees, and open those doors, tomorrow, and next year, and for generations to come. The villages that vanish remind us that nothing is guaranteed. That the world we take for granted can be taken. By war. By water. By fire. By a government order pinned to a church door on a cold November morning. But they also remind us of something else. That people were here. That they lived, and loved, and built. That even in absence, there is evidence. Even in ruins, there is record. And as long as someone is willing to go looking, no village is truly forgotten. Part 9, The End. Thank you for joining D Lost Chronicles. If you found yourself drawn into these stories, if part of you wants to stand in one of these places and feel that silence for yourself, then you already understand why we make this channel. Because history isn't just in textbooks. It's in crumbling doorways. In church clocks that haven't moved in 80 years. In the smoke rising from a road in Pennsylvania. It's everywhere. You just have to know where to look. If you want to keep exploring the forgotten corners of the world with us, subscribe to D Lost Chronicles. Leave a comment below, which of these 5 villages affected you the most? And if you know of a lost community we haven't covered yet, tell us about it. There are more stories out there. There always are. Until next time, stay curious. Stay reverent. And never stop looking.